All right, we're going to continue our study in Hebrews. We're in chapter 2. We're going to do verses 5 through 9 today. And I was talking with Elijah and Drew beforehand, and one of the things that continues to amaze me is just letting the text take me where it's going to go. Like I had an idea of what I wanted to do this week, and where I was going to go with it and what I was going to teach on. And as I began to study, that study took me in an entirely different direction to a conclusion I don't think I ever would have come to. So my goal is, as usual, not to teach with authority, but to share with you my study and take you on the path that I took, and see if we get to the same conclusion and hopefully share what the Father was telling me. So does someone want to go ahead and read? We'll read verses 1 through 15 for context here.
We must pay closer attention, therefore, to what we have heard, so that we do not drift away. For if the message spoken by angels was binding, and every transgression and disobedience received its just punishment, how shall we escape if we neglect such a great salvation? This salvation was first announced by the Lord, was confirmed to us by those who heard him, and was affirmed by God through signs, wonders, various miracles, and gifts of the Holy Spirit distributed according to his will. For it is not to angels that he has subjected the world to come, about which we are speaking. But somewhere it is testified in these words: What is man that you are mindful of him, or the Son of Man that you care for him? You made him a little lower than the angels. You crowned him with glory and honor and placed everything under his feet. When God subjected all things to him, he left nothing outside of his control. Yet at present we do not see everything subject to him. But we see Jesus, who was made a little lower than the angels, now crowned with glory and honor because he suffered death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. In bringing many sons to glory, it was fitting for God, for whom and through whom all things exist, to make the author of their salvation perfect through suffering. For both the one who sanctifies and those who are sanctified are of the same family. So Jesus is not ashamed to call them brothers. He says, I will proclaim your name to my brothers. I will sing your praises in the assembly. And again, I will put my trust in him. And once again, here am I, and the children God has given me. Now, since the children have flesh and blood, he too shared in their humanity, so that by his death he might destroy him who holds the power of death, that is, the devil, and free those who all their lives were held in slavery by their fear of death.
All right, thank you. So that's the context. We always want to remember to, even though we study a little slower and we go deeper into these things, we want to remember what he's saying in the context of his letter. Remember, this is just a letter written. It's a long letter. You can imagine someone up there with a big scroll reading this letter. But so we want to make sure we keep it in context. So let's take a look at our first verse. Verse 5. It says, For it is to not angels that he subjected the world to come, about which we are speaking. Are you getting a little bit bored of this? Again, we're back to angels. Comparison to angels. Here he goes back in. We thought we were done with it. We finished the first chapter. Hey, we're done comparing angels. Nope. Now we're back to comparing angels again. But why is he just being redundant? Why is the author of Hebrews really trying to drive this point home? So to sum up our comparison to angels, the angels are not the Father's Son. They are not the exact representation of his character. They are not appointed heir of all things. They are not seated at the Father's right hand as high priest over all creation. And they are not subjected to the world to come. So they're not mentioned to have an inheritance. We don't ever get a mention of angelic inheritance. They already have everything they're going to get. We don't get, they are not the exact representation of his character because we know that angels sinned. At least one point in the past, angels sinned, so they cannot be the exact representation of his character. And we know that Yeshua is high priest over all creation. They're not seated there. And we also know the angels won't be ruling the next world or age to come. So why? Why is the author of Hebrews beating this dead horse? over and over and over and over and over again. Why is it so important? And I think it's warning. It's important because he knew either they were already doing it, which was likely, or he knew they were going to take this the wrong way. And we did exactly what he warned against. So there are two common interpretations of Yeshua pre-incarnation. One is the angel of the Lord. The Hellenistic Jews held this thought. Justin Martyr held this thought. Eastern Orthodox still holds this thought. Catholic, even modern Christianity, thinks that the angel of Yahweh pre-incarnation is Yeshua. But we have all this passage in Hebrews saying, not an angel, not an angel, not an angel, not an angel. So is he the angel of Yahweh? It's not an angel. Can't be. That's what he's warning against. And then we have this other thing, which actually I didn't realize was as far, it didn't stretch as far as I thought, but a common Jehovah's Witness belief is that Michael, the archangel, is who Yeshua was pre-incarnation on this earth. That he was Michael, he came down, became Jesus, he ascended back into heaven and is now Michael again. That is his incarnation in the spiritual realm. I found out this week in studying, Seventh-day Adventists also think the same thing. That's what it says in their text. Maybe not all of them. But they think that Michael is just, not that he became Michael again, but that Michael is just another name given for Jesus. Another title that's given to him. Here we see the statue of Michael casting down Satan. That statue was put up in the Vatican Gardens in 2013. I thought it was really interesting. So here's just two examples of Yeshua being an angel. And Hebrews is warning us against this over and over and over. He didn't say this to the angels. He didn't make the angels like this. They're not his son. Over and over and over. So I think that's why he's beating that dead horse. But actually, we're going to start shifting away from angels. Let's go to verse 6. But somewhere it is testified in these words. What is man that you are mindful of him, or the son of man that you care for him? You made him a little lower than the angels. You crowned him with glory and honor and placed everything under his feet. I really like this verse. Have you ever thought to yourself, I know it says this somewhere in the Bible. And you can talk about it, but you're like, I can't find it.
At least he quoted it directly.
Give it time. But it's encouraging to me because even the author of Hebrews is like, somewhere it says this, and he quotes it. So I thought that was encouraging. Don't beat yourself up. The idea is to remember what's in the text.
Not exactly where.
It doesn't have to be necessarily where, and it doesn't have to be the exact wording, because we've got words all over the place. So it's an encouragement to me. Even the author of Hebrews is like, yeah, somewhere it's testified. I think he does it later, too, again.
He was in a hurry to write this letter.
Apparently. He didn't want to go look it up.
Yeah.
All right, so where's this quote?
Fair, he didn't have chat or Google, though.
This is true.
Hold on, let me go to the synagogue.
Yeah.
I gotta go this. Hold on, let me read this one, and this one, and this one.
Yeah.
Actually, I am looking for. There is a place in the New Testament that I am trying to find because I remember reading it and I can't search it, and so I've been like starting to read like Matthew and Mark, trying to find this because I want to find this in Mark it, but I can't find it. All right, so where is this quote? This quote seems to come from Psalms 8, 5 and 6. It says, what is man that you remember him, or son of man that you observe him? You made him somewhat less than the angels. You crowned him with glory and honor. So do these quotes match up? So I kind of there's a lot of words there, so I didn't highlight every correct, correlating word. But I find it interesting that the quotes don't fully match up. He reworded some things. I thought that was kind of funny because he's like, somewhere it says this. Maybe he didn't remember it exactly. So he's like, yeah, I kind of know this quote, but it matches up enough to know that this is what he's quoting. Do you agree?
Yeah.
All right. So now that we know who he's quoting from, now we get to go look at the context. Someone want to read Psalm 8?
For the end, on behalf of the winepress, a psalm of David. O Yahweh, our Adonai, how wonderful is your name in all the earth, because your magnificence was lifted up far above the heavens. From the mouth of infants and nursing babies, you created praise. On account of your enemies, to destroy the enemy and the avenger. Because I will see the heavens, the works of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you laid down. What is a man that you remember him, or a son of man that you observe him? You made him somewhat less than angels, you crowned him with glory and honor, and you appointed him over the works of your hands. You arranged all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, and even still livestock of the plains, the birds of the heavens and the fish of the sea, the creatures that go through the paths of the seas. O Yahweh, our Adonai, how wonderful is your name in all the earth.
It's a good song.
That is a great one.
I had it in the Hebrew understandings because we did O Lord, our Lord. So I looked it up, and it's Yahweh and Adonai. So here's our context. So there's our quote in the middle there. What is man that you are mindful of him? So we're gonna get to play a little bit of a different game of guess who. Who is this chapter? Who is this passage about? Is it about man, or is it about Yeshua? You can see we've got man, him, son of man, his, and him.
I view the a man in verse 5 just being, the first part of verse 5, I should say, just being any man.
Okay.
And then it seems to go into a son of man is specific about Yeshua. But what's interesting is nothing's capitalized there.
It is not capitalized, but capitalization was not in the text.
Okay.
Capitalization is an English thing. Well, it's more than English, but it's an English thing. It's not a Greek or Hebrew thing.
Okay.
So that's always
But
fun when they're like, I'm going to capitalize this letter.
Yeah.
It's a guess.
So that's my take. I think it's just men in general, and then more specific the second half, and then moving forward.
To your point, though.
Septuagint.
A instead of B.
It's A. Okay. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, when you did the side by side, one of them was
Yeah, I think I'm going to call that up here in a couple slides here. I'll call that out because you're right. One is the and one is A. So we've got some qualifiers. Any other thoughts on this before I go to the next slide?
I don't want to step on what
Not
you're
yet.
probably about to say.
No. Step.
I think it applies to both because Yeshua was a man when he was on earth.
Okay.
I think that first section, 5 is a rhetorical question. But then it says, you made him somewhat less than the angels at first, then you crowned him with glory and honor.
Okay.
I don't know if we're doing it.
All right. So we've got some qualifiers. Made, somewhat less than angels, crowned him with glory and honor, appointed him over the works of your hands, and all things under his feet. So, again, which one does it fit? What's your initial thought? Both? One, the other? One, then the other?
I think it's all mankind.
You think it's all mankind?
I do, yeah.
All right.
Because if you take out the temporal tenses, then it just makes it easy to argue that, I feel like.
Okay.
The only one you could spin both ways would be that all things under his feet.
Okay.
Yes, we'll rule and reign with him, but Yeshua himself won't be under our feet. I mean, yeah, we'll be brothers and sisters,
Right.
kind of thing, but like,
Right.
Right.
Like all the
the rest of them, you can make the case however you like. But yeah, that last
That
piece.
last one.
But
So
that's
maybe
only
it's the
20%.
person. Well, good.
But at that point, that's only 20% of the whole thing.
Yeah, I
So
know.
that doesn't
The
stink.
first ones you can. I mean, we are sons of men. That's the point.
Exactly. I think it's kind of the first and the last is like.
Okay.
The first is for sure all of it. Like it's putting Yeshua on the same playing field as the rest of us relative to he came down, took human form, etc. And then the all things under his feet seems to be then all of us except for at the end of it, like that ultimately is just reserved for Yeshua.
I know it's kind of
Okay.
I think.
I like these thoughts. And these are the questions that I had. Because I'll be honest with you, someone asked me about this passage before I even studied it, like 2 weeks ago. And they're like, hey, I was studying, and it came up and it said, Son of Man. And they told us that was absolutely Yeshua. And I was like, no, I don't think so. And I remember talking to her and saying, actually, no, I think it actually is Yeshua. I agree, that's a great question. Not always the Son of Man is Yeshua. And then I started studying it, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So I started studying it. And, all right, so somewhat less than the angels. We're going to look at each of these qualifiers. So we have a verse in Luke for man here. It says, and Yeshua said to them, the sons of this age marry and are given in marriage, but those who are considered worthy to attain that age and to the resurrection from the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage, for they cannot die anymore, because they are equal to angels and are the sons of God, being sons of the resurrection. So,
marriage causes you to die.
no, I don't think that's what it means. I don't think that's the right context there.
Understood.
Were humans made somewhat less than angels?
Yeah.
It says they have to attain to that age. Okay, so they're made somewhat less than angels. How about Yeshua? After making purification for sins, this is from Hebrews, we already studied this, he sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high, having become as much superior to angels as the name that he inherited is more excellent than theirs. If he has become more superior to angels, what does that mean?
He was not before.
And one time he was not. So, here's our checklist. That one's good. Fits both.
Nice.
Crowned with glory. We'll go with Yeshua first. That one's easy. And he said to them, O foolish ones and slow of heart, believe all that the prophets have spoken. Was it not necessary that Christ would suffer these things and enter into his glory? Has Yeshua been crowned with glory?
Yeah.
How about man? In James, blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, because when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. Can you say man will be crowned with glory? All right. That's 2.
I'm sending you my charts to make in the future here. Stay tuned.
This is simple PowerPoint. Drew does so much better than I do. All right, how about appoint him over the works of his hands? Again, we'll start with Yeshua because that seems like an easy one. But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son, again in Hebrews, whom he appointed heir of all things, whom he also created the world. Is he appointed over the works of his hands? Yes. How about man? Genesis 1:26, and God said, let us make humankind according to our image and according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the heavens, and the livestock, and all the earth, and the creeping things that are upon the earth.
Sounds like what that verse in Psalms was quoting.
Has he appointed man over the works of his hands?
Mm-hmm.
He has. So, we're good there. How about all things under his feet? Yeshua, 1 Corinthians 15. For God has put all things in subjection under his feet. Pretty clear. Yeshua has everything under his feet. What about man?
No.
Look at the verse. Yep. Oh, excuse me just a minute.
When I did it last week, I just can't
got to go.
All right. So, the verse in Psalm 8, remember what it says. You arranged all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, and even still the livestock of the plains, and the birds of the heavens, and the fish of the sea, and the creatures that go through the paths of the sea. Remember, all is not always all. All is not always everything, everywhere, no exceptions, everything. In fact, often it's not. So it's all within context. Look at Genesis 1:28. And God blessed them, saying, increase, multiply, and fill the earth, and gain dominion over it, and rule over it, the fish of the sea, the birds of the heavens, the livestock upon the earth, and the creeping things that creep upon the earth. In this context, has he put all things under the feet of man? He's been given dominion. So yeah, I agree, not everything and everything is under subjection of man. But all these things? Yeah.
Even Yeshua doesn't have rule over everything. He doesn't have rule over it all.
That's right. That's true.
Isn't the question, or is it when it says that even man will judge angels? It's more of a rhetorical as to our
Elevation.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's rhetorical, but yeah.
Not rhetorical. I meant the statement's more of a where we will be in the authority structure.
Right.
So if we're made higher than angels to the point we're judging them, then I'd say the rest of the things would be under that.
Under that, yeah. So now we get to I skipped one for a reason. What about the Son of Man? Who is the Son of Man?
Kind of a title that can be used both for Yeshua and sometimes just for you're a son of a man, son of a man, you know.
Sounds like you're saying a bad word.
Yeah.
Son of a man. Anyone else? What do you think of when you think of son of man?
I think it's just that.
Son of man.
But Yeshua's the special one of that.
Yeah.
So obviously it's a moniker for all the prophecies that mentioned that for him.
Right.
But at the same time,
Okay.
it's just that it is for Hebrews making a distinction that he's not an angel. He's got similarities, but he's not an angel.
Right.
That's one of the distinctions. He was the Son of Man. Angels were never. We were talking about this one later.
So let's take a look at this. What is the Son of Man in the text? Because remember, what we grew up with, I grew up with the Son of Man was always Yeshua. Always. 100% Son of Man was Yeshua. Then I learned the Son of Man, well, sometimes it's prophets. So it has to be someone really big. The Son of Man and prophet, Son of Man and Yeshua. But what does the text actually say? So the Son of Man, this phrase is translated 193 times that I can find in the Septuagint and the New Testament. The Greek word is huios anthropos. The Hebrew is ben Adam. So, technically, what is it, Narnia that always talks about sons of Adam and daughters of Eve? That's because that's literally what the Hebrew says. It's ben Adam. So Numbers, we get an instance that God is not a son of man. Numbers 23, God is not man that he should lie, or a son of man that he should change his mind. So we know God's not son of man, the Father.
Wait, and if Yeshua is son of man, then he can't be Yeshua.
There's a good point. Yeshua refers to himself as the Son of Man 83 out of 86 times in the New Testament. So 86 times the New Testament translates those words to the Son of Man. 83 times is Yeshua referring to himself. Here's some examples. Mark 9, for he was teaching his disciples, saying to them, the Son of Man is going to be delivered into the hands of men, and they will kill him, and when he is killed, after 3 days he will rise. But they did not understand the saying, and were afraid to ask him. That's pretty clear who he's speaking of, isn't it? Matthew 12, for the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. Again, pretty clear. Matthew 13, just as the weeds are gathered and burned with the fire, so it will be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send his angels, and they will gather out his kingdom all causes of sin and all lawbreakers, and throw them into the fiery furnace. This Son of Man has angels. Will send his angels. So pretty clear it's talking about him, isn't it? How about other references? In Acts, Stephen refers to Yeshua as the Son of Man. And he said, behold, I see the heavens opened and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. So this is when Stephen is being martyred and he's about to die and he sees the vision of the heavenly kingdom. And he calls him the Son of Man, calls Yeshua. Revelation calls Yeshua the Son of Man. Then I turned to see the voice that was speaking to me, and on turning I saw 7 golden lampstands, and in the midst of of the lampstands, one like a son of man, clothed with a long robe and with a golden sash around his chest. The hairs of his head were white like white wool, like snow. His eyes were like a flame of fire. His feet were like burnished bronze refined in a furnace. And his voice was like the roar of many waters. In his right hand he held 7 stars from his mouth, and came a sharp 2-edged sword, and his face was like the sun shining in full strength. Does that sound like a description of Yeshua and his resurrection? All right, so we've got those references to Yeshua. How about other references? Enoch refers to the Son of Man 19 times. In Enoch 62 it says, one portion of them shall look on the other, and they shall be terrified, and they shall be downcast of countenance, and pain shall seize them when they see that Son of Man sitting on the throne of his glory. Who's he talking about?
Clearly not himself.
Not himself.
That's ridiculous.
That's a wrong translation.
Yes.
It's talking about Yeshua. Seated on the throne. Further on in that passage it says, for from the beginning the Son of Man was hidden, and the Most High preserved him in the presence of his might, and revealed him to the elect. We talk about that a lot in the New Testament. Paul talks about the mystery that has been revealed. I think he's referring to who the Son of Man is.
Couldn't that also be like when he was resurrected, he like hid himself and only revealed himself to certain people?
That could be, yeah. Because he revealed himself to the elect, yeah.
Or at least a dual meaning to it.
Yeah. Yeah, because remember, he didn't tell everybody he was the Son of Man. He only told those who were following him. In fact, there's oftentimes he says, don't tell people who I am. So, Yeshua is clearly the Son of Man. What about man? The Son of Man can actually mean any human. So in Job, it says, my friends scorn me, my eye pours out tears to God, that he would argue the case of a man with God, as a son of man does with his neighbor. Is he speaking of a prophet? Is he speaking of Yeshua?
Just as Jesus does with his neighbor.
Right. Is he speaking about Yeshua going and arguing with his neighbor? No, he's just speaking about a man. Isaiah 56, blessed is the man who does this, and the Son of Man who holds it fast, who keeps the Sabbath, not profaning it, and keeps his hand from doing any evil. Again, there's no reference to who he is. It's just a man. It's just humankind. Ezekiel calls himself the Son of Man 93 times.
That's nuts.
More than Yeshua.
More than Yeshua?
It was 83.
83 versus 93? Wow. That's an interesting factoid.
Not only does Ezekiel call himself that, listen to this passage. And he said to me, this is an angel coming to him, Son of man, stand on your feet, and I will speak with you. And he spoke with me. The Spirit entered into me and set me on my feet, and I heard him speaking to me. And he said to me, Son of man, I send you to the people of Israel, to nations of rebels who have rebelled against me. And they and their fathers have transgressed against me to this very day. The descendants also are impudent and stubborn. I send you to them, and you shall say to them, thus says Yahweh God, and whether they hear or refuse to hear, for they are a rebellious house, they will know that a prophet has been sent among them. And you, Son of man, be not afraid to them, nor be afraid of their words. Though briars and thorns are with you, and you sit on scorpions, be not afraid of their words. Be not dismayed at their looks, for they are a rebellious house. This is an angel talking to Ezekiel. Now, is he calling him Yeshua? Is he calling him the Messiah? He's just calling him a son of man. Daniel does both. Daniel 7:13 says, I saw in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, there came one like a son of man, and he came to the Ancient of Days, and was presented before him. And to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed.
God doesn't have a son. What did the Pharisees say all the time?
Right. Who's Daniel seeing a vision of? Besides the Ancient of Days. Ancient of Days would be the Father. He was given a kingdom and dominion and glory. Sounds like Yeshua. But then we get Daniel 8, and I heard a man's voice between the banks of Uli, can't read that,
Anyway,
and called Gabriel, make this man understand the vision. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was frightened and fell on my face. But he said to me, understand, O son of man, that the vision for the time is of the end. Gabriel called Daniel, son of man. So we can see that son of man can really mean any human. Yes, it's a very common moniker for Yeshua, and he loves that moniker. He used it a bunch of times. If I recall correctly, it's his favorite moniker for himself,
right.
which I found really interesting.
You could have used any title and he said son.
He called himself the Son of Man, yep, repeatedly. But it can be anything. Go ahead.
Are Ezekiel and Daniel the only ones referred to as the Son of Man outside?
Yeshua.
Yeah.
I don't believe so.
Okay, because my thought was two witnesses.
I'm getting it.
Revelation, that could be interesting.
That could be interesting.
But if there's more than
More
two,
than that, more than
pops
that
out here,
theory.
yeah.
Well, just for fun too, I was doing a little research. So you got son of man, you have a son of man, and you have son of a man. So the fun thing is, son of man specifically, as Nate already said, 190 plus times. A son of man, only 2 to 3 times, Daniel and Job. So you found the rare a son of man instances. 0, according to chat, son of a man is not in the Bible.
So that's a great point, because now we have two references. We have a Son of Man, or Son of Man, and the Son of Man.
Right.
So maybe the Son of Man is Yeshua, because you brought up the point about Hebrews. What is man that you are mindful of him, or the Son of Man that you care for him? Or in Psalm 8, what is man that you remember him, or a Son of Man that you observe him? But
You can make
when we look in the Greek,
uh,
neither are there. It's not a or the. It's the exact same. The author of Hebrews is not twisting the quote to say, well, maybe it was human, and now it's speaking of Yeshua, the Son of Man, even though that's how we translate it, and that's what most of the English texts say. If you look, it's not there.
You could have thrown a Kai in there whenever you like.
Yep. It's just or Son Man. Or man's son is probably a better interpretation.
So there's 3 other the Son of Man references: Ezekiel, Psalms, and Daniel. So that blows your 2 witnesses.
There's three witnesses.
So, back to our chart.
Yeah.
Son of Man could be Yeshua.
But technically, son of a man is 0, but son of man.
Yeah. It's all about your English translation. Yeah. It's all Huios, Anthropos, or Ben Adam, whichever one you want to go with.
Paul likes his monikers, but he gives the important characters' names on verse.
Yeah.
So what's your choice? What's the passage about? Did I go back to the passage?
Go back.
Nope, I went forward. I'll go back. Back. This is why it's so many slides this time. Whoa!
Oh no.
I went too far back.
Broke the slides.
There we go. All right, well, I'll go to the bigger one. So, what's the passage about?
Back to Psalm.
Yep, back to Psalm. What's the context of the Psalm about?
I still hold that it's about mankind generally, but that Yeshua became mankind, and so the author of Hebrews is applying it to him as well.
Yeah.
So you think in Psalms, he's just talking about man?
No, it starts, I think what you're saying is it starts talking about just man, and then morphs into Yeshua.
Okay, so when it
With
says...
the connection that he is a man, like, is that what you're saying?
Well, him being the first.
I wouldn't disagree, but
That's still the example.
I think Psalm 8 really is just about mankind.
Well, he's part of mankind.
But he's part of mankind, that's what I'm trying to say.
So,
But Psalm 8 is just about mankind. It's not referencing Yeshua
I don't
or
think
the Messiah.
specifically I don't see.
I
Okay.
think it's referencing Yeshua at the same time as us with him like coattail.
I think that's what the author
Oh, I
of
see.
Hebrews is trying to do.
It's
Okay.
merged.
No, he's first.
Yeah.
We're with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, that
So
could
it's
be.
Yeshua or man?
Yeshua's man as well.
You know, I could see that, but the reality is, without Yeshua, then it's kind of a lost cause, anyways. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, it could just be about man, but we're not getting into the dance
Because he's the
without
one
him.
that
Exactly.
makes this total process
Applicable to us.
applicable because it makes the future stuff happen.
Exactly.
Were we not in dominion over the animals before Yeshua?
But that we were.
But the crown with
Crowned
glory and
with
honor.
glory and
Yeah.
honor. Glory seems to be a heavenly thing, given
Yeah.
only by the Father.
That
Really
ain't
just
happening.
Yeah, that's holy. Never mind.
And because you read earlier that the crowns part is referring to us in our resurrection.
Yeah, but crown also means authority too.
Yeah. And we do have authority over the creation.
I think that's kind of the point. He's saying, yes, mankind has all this cool stuff, but look where that came from.
Okay.
So I think we're awesome, but it all came from you. That's
Right.
how I'm reading it.
Oh yeah, because the Father gave all this dominion. Yeah, I think
Exactly, So it's
that's
like
a great reading.
It's like a super phrase.
I mean, it's also the Psalm of David.
Mm-hmm.
Chronologically, within itself to man.
Yeah.
Right.
But David does have a lot of psalms that are messianic.
Sure.
That's why. See, and so that's why when I started studying it out, and I had the conversation with this lady, and I was like, you know what? I went back and studied it. I think you might be right. I think it's just man. Even though it says son of man, and we use that word like with the word or logos, we impregnate this word and say everywhere it's him. It's not. Yeah.
Just like salvation a few weeks ago.
Salvation. Yeah, we do that with a lot of words.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Do we do that with the word like
Well, you
commandment
impregnate the
or
words.
law?
Okay.
No, if you love me.
Well, next guy's with
Hey.
the
Yeah, I think there's context where it's speaking of specific things versus the law, and then it's speaking of this contextual commandment or this. Yeah, because I believe there were commandments. My personal belief, like with Passover, about having your staff in hand and eating it standing up and all that, I don't believe is a commandment for us for all time. I believe that was a commandment for them in that moment, in that situation. So yes, it was a command, do this. But I don't think it's every time we do Passover, we need to do this. I mean, we can do it in memory and in memorial, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I don't believe it's part of the commandment of how to follow Passover.
Yeah.
So I think that's a
it
good
could
point.
be also signifying like Feast of Trumpets, where it's like, I think in Matthew 24, it's like be alert, be aware,
Mhm.
basically don't be asleep, be ready. And so it kind of
Right.
parallels the put your staff in your hand.
It's just like it's almost both, though. Not necessarily one or the other. I mean, if you look at a lot of scripture, as far as your question.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's why I'd lost your context. I apologize.
The law is very context oriented too, but here, I mean, his words are powerful. Like he gave the end from the beginning, and while it matches the context of man, it also matches the context of Yeshua.
It does. Yeah.
Right.
I think it's a good point. That's why I wanted to dig into it, because we had these qualifiers, and if one of these qualifiers didn't fit one or the other, then that's the answer we have to go with, because that's what the text says. But I found in my findings, and that doesn't mean that there's not more to find, but in my findings and from what we went through, it seems to be both. Now, I lean more towards it being about man. That's kind of where I lean now. But let's go back to our Hebrews passage. So, what am I doing here? Yeah, after the quote, you crowned him with glory and honor and placed him everything under his feet. When God subjected all things to him, he left nothing outside of his control. Yet at present, we do not see everything subjected to him. So, guess what? Who is the him he's talking about in the author of Hebrews? Well, who's the he? That's an easy one. That's the Father. All right, good.
Just this snippet hymn looks like it could be metaphorical man.
Okay.
But knowing this just came after chapter 1, and the whole point of this conversation, him is Jesus.
And the next verse says, but we see Jesus.
And he clarifies it again. Because he easily could have said, but we see him, who was, he could have easily done that.
So let's when God subjected all things to him, he left nothing outside of his control. So let's take a look. Did God subject all things to Yeshua? 1 Peter 3. Baptism, which corresponds to this, now saves you, not as a removal of dirt from the body, but as an appeal to God for a good conscience through the resurrection of Yeshua Christ, who has gone into heaven and is at the right hand of God with angels, authorities, and powers having been subjected to him. Did God seem to subject a lot of things to him? Yeah. But our citizenship is in heaven. We eagerly await a Savior from there, the Lord Yeshua Christ, who, by the power that enables him to subject all things to himself, will transform our lowly bodies to be like his glorious body. So all things are subject to Yeshua.
Yeah.
Just a few more verses. Ephesians 1:19, which he exerted in Christ when he raised him from the dead and seated him at his right hand in the heavenly realms, far above all rule and authority, power and dominion, and every name that is named, not only in the present age, but also the one to come. And God put everything under his feet and made him head over everything for the church. Enoch even says this, and the Lord of spirits placed the elect one on the throne of glory, and he shall judge all the works, and the holy above in heaven, and the balance their deeds be weighed. And when he shall lift him up his countenance to judge their secret ways, according to the name of the Lord of spirits, and the path according to the way of the righteous judgment of the Lord of spirits, then shall they with all one voice speak and bless, and glorify and extol and sanctify the name of the Lord of spirits. One thing I found really interesting is who is Yeshua judging at this passage?
Like the goat?
The goats? No, I don't think this is a sheep and goats one.
Well, Enoch was tasked to record the judgment of the fallen angels.
Yeah.
It says of the holy above in the heaven.
Yeah.
Is that man? Oftentimes we get, it says the, right,
Okay, so
Oh,
top
no.
one,
Right there.
bottom one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Second.
It says of the holy above in heaven. That's not man. Most of the time we talk about him judging, it's judging man. I find it really cool that we have an instance of him being judged over angels.
Holy above in heaven, does that mean good angels or bad?
That's the good angels, the holy above in heaven. That's the good angels, absolutely.
Why would a good angel be judged?
That would be my next question too.
Because no one's perfect.
Even angels.
Wow.
Dang.
Angels can sin.
Well, they clearly can, but you'd think
They clearly can.
the 2/3 that didn't.
Well, I don't
How
think
would they
it's really
sin?
2/3, but
What?
I don't think it's really 2/3. I think that passage that talks about 2/3 is future yet to come.
Satan's demons.
Yeah.
Wait. A third fell immediately.
Well,
Then
it's
some-
a third of stars.
Yeah, that word says,
There's 200
it
that we
says
can
Satan.
count.
Satan doesn't have no name.
There's only 200 we know of fallen angels that we know of. And it also says there's innumerable angels, so there's not only 600 angels. Because if a third fell and we only know of 200, that means there's only 600 angels, and that does not fit the text.
Right. No. I agree with that. But where is the verse that says it's not a third of all, whatever the number is? I don't know that we have a number.
It says he swept a third of the stars out of heaven.
That's what it says.
But we've all been taught that that's what that meant.
Yeah, right.
We've all
I
been
was too, yeah.
this great war in the past when a third of the angels rebelled and they got cast down to the earth. That's what we were taught.
You talking about the third of Satan's angels?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Initially,
one's Satan's house, and yeah, it's literally it's angels, I think, and it's messengers. So it's literally can mean Satan's messengers. That's demons.
Right, yeah. All right. I'll come back to me on that.
All right. So
But yeah, it does say angels.
we know by the text, not by just knowing, but we know by the text here that God subjected everything to Yeshua. All right, or is going to. How about man? 2 Timothy 2, we will reign with him. The saying is trustworthy, for if we have died with him, we will also live with him. If we endure, we will also reign with him. If we deny him, he will also deny us. If we are faithless, he remains faithful, and he cannot deny himself. 1 Peter 2, but you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, so that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. And those are great. I assume I have the other one. This is the one that really gets me. Revelation 3. The one who conquers, I will grant him to sit with me on my throne. And as I also conquered and sat down with my Father on his throne. And you want some context of whose throne it is? Early on in Revelation 3. And the angel of the church of Laodicea write the words of the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of God's creation. Whose throne is he talking about?
The throne at his right hand, Ezekiel calls the little mercy seat.
It's Yeshua's throne. It says, for those who conquer, he will grant to sit on his throne. We talk about that we will rule and reign with him, but do you realize what that means? If everything is put under subjection of Yeshua, and we are going to rule and reign with him and grant to sit on his throne, everything is put in subjection under us. In some extent. Now, not everything. Again, all is not always all. But we have clear text that says we are going to rule and reign over all of this, at least. 1 Corinthians 6. If anyone is a grievance against another, how dare he go to the law before the unrighteous instead of before the saints? Do you not know that the saints will judge the world? And if you judge the world and you're not competent to judge trivial cases, do you not know that we will judge angels?
Yeah, that's what I meant by rhetorical. It's not rhetorical. It's the concept he's trying to link to.
Yeah.
But it is rhetorical.
Because it's implying that the rest of it underneath is also there.
So in Enoch, we saw, who is he ruling over?
How much more the
angels.
Yeah.
Yeshua is ruling over angels when he gets seated on the throne. We get to share his throne. Now, obviously, Yeshua is going to be over. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that we're going to become the same level as Yeshua. But is it incorrect to say, in context, that God has subjected all things to mankind, the glorified mankind?
No,
I don't think it is.
Yeshua, and then we're there.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Where I am, you will be also.
Right.
So again, just because when God subjected things to him, he left nothing outside of his control. Yet at present, we do not see everything subject to him. Is everything subject to us? No. Will it be it someday?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, even the author of Hebrews, I think, is still speaking of mankind here. Any concerns on that? Any thoughts? Does it make sense? Get to the Southern Baptist preacher. I know how to say God with 3 syllables. All right, verse 9. But we see Yeshua, who was made a little lower than the angels, now crowned with glory and honor because he suffered death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. This is a dense passage.
There we go. That's what I was waiting.
So, we see Yeshua. So now who is he talking about? Pretty clear. He's talking about Yeshua now. You know, this 23 verses into this letter, he finally names him. I went back and looked. He doesn't name him. But he wanted to be, I think the author of Hebrews wanted to be clear. I'm talking about the Son of Man. I'm talking about the Messiah. I'm talking about the Father's Son, Yeshua. Let me be clear who this is. So we see Yeshua. Does this change the subject of what Psalms 8 that he quoted from? Keep that in mind. So let's continue on in our text. I did want to call out, so I'm going to skip over a few things because we've gone over this a lot. I got the little priest down there, crowned with glory and seated at his right hand. We are in glory and honor. We know that's the priesthood. We've gone over this a lot of times. The who was made a little lower, I put the Greek above there because you can say, oh, who was made? He was created, which I don't disagree with. That's not what that says. The made a little lower is actually part of that one word, and it just means that he was inferior. He was put inferior. It was not that he was made, created.
I love it.
He was just put lower. Mm-hmm. So he was put lower. He was set inferior. It's not that he was made, and when he was made, he was a little lower than the angels. That's not what it's saying. So I wanted to call that out because I looked at that and I'm like, well, that's a pretty clear verse that he was created, wasn't it? That's not what the text. That's not what the Greek actually says. So let's look at these hard ones. Because he suffered death. Philippians 2:8-9. And being found in human form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. Therefore, God has highly exalted him and bestowed him on him the name that is above every name, so that at the name of Yeshua every knee should bow, in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue confess that Yeshua Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father.
And my misery.
So remember I said we're going to go to Philippians 2:8-9 a lot? We're going to go to Philippians 2:8-9 a lot. I'm pretty sure I could spend months teaching on this verse. It is quickly become a very common go-to verse for me because it explains everything so nicely. But this time we see that he was obedient even to the point of death. Did that cause him to suffer death? Yeah. Hebrews 1:9 earlier, it says, you have loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore, God your God has anointed you with the oil of gladness beyond your companions. If he loves righteousness and hates wickedness, what did that cause for him?
The world will hate you for my name's sake.
Caused him to suffer death.
Yeah.
Wicked people don't like when you love righteousness and hate wickedness. They really don't like it. So, this passage is saying we see him crowned with glory because he suffered death. So I reversed it. Because he suffered death, he is now crowned with glory and honor. So let's go.
Get this over with. How do we speed this up?
We're almost done. Might taste.
Locked and loaded. I'm ready to go.
So he might taste death for everyone. I'm going to skip to that one first. So, what is it? What does it mean that he's going to taste death for everyone? What does that make you think of?
Sounds a lot like to me, but obviously knowing the process. It wasn't just, Father, take this cup from me because he was just going to die. He said, is there another way I can save him?
Okay.
He had all of our consciences on it.
Okay. What else might taste death for everyone mean?
Okay, theory. So when you taste, it's like 1 out of 5 steps to digestion, but he tasted it, he did not, he rose. So it's like eating and throwing up. But sorry, I never would explain that word. The taste is just like 1 step, but he didn't just go through it.
To help you, the word taste actually means experience.
Ooh. So
it doesn't mean he just gave it a little lick.
Right, but because I know, but like
We didn't need this.
but he rose, like experienced it, but it didn't keep it there. Like because he rose, he tasted it and he triumphed it.
But like
Their
death
fault.
hasn't been swallowed up by life just yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm kind of tracking with what you're
Yep.
tacking that on.
Is it tested and tried so he can be
He went back to
he can sympathize with man? Is that part of it?
I live with boys.
So, go ahead.
Let us know.
So, is this penal substitutionary atonement? Did he taste death for everyone?
No, not everyone may have sinned worthy of the death penalty.
That is a great question. So let's break this down.
I don't think she put that in a question form.
It was a statement.
That's a great statement for a question. Okay, here we go.
Let's break this down.
Can I get a question for you?
Yes, I'll do it. Lord, come on.
Are we still going to have to experience death?
Yes.
Yes. Most. Hebrews 9:27 is just as it is appointed for man to die once, after that comes judgment. Jubilee 7, Enoch tasted death. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but that's what Jubilee says. For thus did Enoch, the father of your father, commanded Methuselah his son, and Methuselah his son Lamech. And Lamech commanded me all the things that his fathers commanded him. And I will give you the commandment, my sons, as Enoch commanded his son in the first Jubilees, while still living. The seventh in his generation, he commanded and testified to his son and his son's sons until the day of his death. Enoch died. Genesis 3. You will eat your bread in the sweat of your face until you return into the earth from which you were taken, because you are earth, and you will depart into the earth.
So in Jubilee 7:38, did Noah write that?
You're asking who wrote that?
Yeah.
Yes, that was Noah speaking. I think he's teaching Shem, or he's teaching someone. Yes, that is Noah speaking. How about, righteous ones aren't going to die, right? We're going to get raptured. Psalm 115 says, costly before the Lord is the death of his holy ones. Righteous people are going to die too. So, again, we're going to break this down. Did he die so no one else had to?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Is she okay up there? She looks comfortable, but I want to make sure you're cool with it.
She looks comfortable? I
Yes.
don't know.
Looks sketchy.
She's not quite one of Trina's monkeys.
I think she's going all the way across.
I think she's comfortable, but she doesn't want to get down
She'll figure it out.
So did Yeshua die so no one else had to? No, that can't be true. Did he take the punishment we deserve?
yet. Man can die.
I think so, but
No, I don't
There are
know
two
how he
verses.
could have though if he was risen, because the punishment of death is like doesn't that go further than just everybody dies? Death is like being under the law, right?
Okay.
It's not what we were taught it was. The being under the law is death,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the eternal death, right?
I would agree. So did he only take the punishment for the righteous?
No, because that's not.
If you're righteous, do you need to be punished?
Yeah.
That was my fault.
Okay.
hey.
So if this second death, this eternal death, is something that only the wicked deserve, the righteous don't deserve it, only the wicked deserve, did he taste second death for them?
Clearly not, he's still alive.
Did he take the death reserved for the wicked, for the righteous? Revelations 20, the death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death, the lake of fire. And if anyone was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. This is the word limne to pyros. I don't speak Greek, I apologize. It means lake of fire.
Yeah.
Mark 9. And if your foot causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life lame than with 2 feet to be thrown into hell. And if your eye causes you to sin, tear it out. It is better for you to enter the kingdom of God with 1 eye than 2 eyes to be thrown into hell, and where the worm does not die and the fire is not quenched. And we get the message in Enoch 54. And Michael and Gabriel and Raphael and Phanuel shall take hold of them that great day and cast them on that day into the burning furnace. The Lord of spirits may take vengeance on them for their unrighteousness in becoming subject to Satan and leading astray those who dwell on the earth. That's the punishment for the angels.
Is hell and the lake of fire synonymous?
In this text, yes. This is the word Gehenna.
They use, there's a handful of different words to help with hell there.
Yeah. Well, that's on purpose.
So did he take the death reserved for the wicked? Do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Instead, fear the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. This is why, and I followed this most of my life, the idea of eternal fire torment in hell. I don't believe is scriptural. I feel heretical even saying it, but I've come over to the idea of annihilationism because of what the text says, things like this. And if I don't take this Catholic eternal hell to the text, then there is no way that Yeshua could have experienced the second death.
Right.
There is a teaching that says he actually went to hell and then busted out because he couldn't be there. So he experienced hell with the Satan poking and all that stuff.
Burning flesh.
The burning flesh and all that. He experienced it, but that's not what this text is saying.
Yeah. I've had that conversation with someone, and then I mentioned, but there's levels to hell. I said, that's Dante's Inferno. You didn't get that from Scripture.
So he didn't go to like Abraham's bosom or Sheol and
That he
did
did.
I think
He did not go to the lake of fire.
Right.
Okay.
So Hades.
There's a separation.
Yeah.
Right.
The lake of fire is the end of the story.
Is the end of the story.
Okay.
You're done.
So did he die so no one else had to? No. Everybody still has to die.
Skylar's up there now.
Did he take the punishment all humans deserve? No. Did he only take the punishment for the righteous? No, because they would have deserved the second death. Did he taste the second death for those who are wicked? No. So what in the world does this mean?
I have a really quick question. So when it says like he took the propitiation of our sin, isn't that
That is a better
exactly?
That is a better word.
So what he did it or did, and that's what
Is the high
means?
priest the atonement, or is the action the high priest does?
Doesn't propitiation just mean mercy seat?
I don't.
Yes, but it's the action of which of doing that thing. Yeah.
He took the mercy seat. He sat down on his throne.
He became the position that does the thing. He
Yeah.
didn't become the thing.
Can you flip back there?
We had this. We just happened to have this conversation.
I'm not convinced on the second one.
That he took punishment for all humans deserve.
Okay.
What is the punishment that all humans deserve?
Second death?
The second death.
For any.
Did he take the second death?
Context, no, I don't think he took the second death.
Okay. That's
But your word is punishment there.
Yeah.
There was a covenant that was broken.
Azariah.
The blood covenant that required death as a payment. Right?
I don't agree with that, no.
So
Because does everybody, I mean, there are just different punishments, right, for different sins, essentially. And not everybody in the whole world that has ever existed would have necessarily have done sin to the extent of requiring
Death
capital
penalty
punishment, right?
Yeah.
so we've all sinned
and fallen short
Mhm.
from the glory.
But also in Torah, nobody ever executed the way Yeshua was executed. That would be
that was not a
story.
scriptural.
But it was prophesied that he who was to come would be murdered by a murderous generation, and that is how they murdered him.
That's how they murdered him.
So he was going to die, but because of the generation he was born into, that was their choice of how he was murdered.
I agree.
So you're saying that like the punishment that Yeshua received wasn't based on like prescribed by Torah anyway.
It wouldn't. It's not a character to be prescribed by God to treat His creation that way. He doesn't have His creation, the wicked, being tortured on a tree in the end.
Correct.
Either. So I would say no. What was His purpose? His purpose was to show the world how to walk perfectly, how we will be walking perfectly, to repent, and then He conquered death.
Absolutely.
It was never about.
I think it's a good way to say it.
To that point, what does it mean to conquer death?
Can we
Back
define,
to that point, that's what I'm trying to.
can we define death?
I was waiting for that.
First death and second death.
Yeah, so like, is the second death a period of time of just immense extreme pain, and then actual death becomes supernova, just no more lights out?
Annihilation.
But with God, you're alive forever.
Perhaps He didn't conquer death per se, because there were others who have been brought back to life through Yahweh, right? Yeshua's not the only one who's risen, but He's the only one who rose to heaven.
Yeah, He's the one who's obtained His glorified body.
He's been given agency through the Father to make judgment on who else will be in the kingdom.
Yes.
Well, I think there's a distinction between because Lazarus was dead for days, right, and he was brought back. But if you look at like near-death experiences and things of that nature, there's a lot of people actually who were brought back from quote-unquote dead, but you're talking minutes or an hour.
30
I'm not
years.
minimizing an hour.
Right.
I'm just saying days. There's not a lot of accounts that are anybody's purporting to be dead for days coming back. So that's thing one. And then thing two is like the sinless aspect. Like Lazarus wasn't sinless. So like it's those two things in combination that makes the only person who's done that is Yeshua.
Well, and I believe Jonah died for 3 days, but he also died again.
But he also didn't. He wasn't sinless.
No, he was not. He was not sinless. That's why he died.
Yeshua's the only one that ministered.
Yeah.
He went down. Yeah, he went down.
Yes.
Proclaimed.
He went and taught.
Liberty of the captives. Yeah.
I'm sure there was great celebration on that day down in Sheol.
That kind of points to the idea of a purgatory.
Of a purgatory.
Yeah.
Well,
Between the first and the second
purgatory,
death.
yeah, that was them not understanding
But the only problem
what
with
hell was. There were a handful of verses that didn't fit with hell the way they described it, so they had to create a secondary version. But technically, yes, it is like a resting
Spot.
waiting for whatever's coming.
And it does say there.
Well, my understanding was your sins are kind of burned off of you once you're through that. Like once you.
They thought that you could pay, your family could pay.
They didn't
and
think
pray and then move it.
I disagree. They didn't think that. It was just a scam the whole time.
Oh yeah, it was a scam the whole time.
Still believe that they can pray or do good deeds for their ancestors who
Mhm.
Yes.
That's why.
But all, yeah.
Yep, and that's where I would say that the purgatory falls down is because purgatory was a waiting place that you could eventually escape. I believe there is a waiting place for the wicked. They're not escaping
Yeah,
it.
they're not.
They're only escaping it to annihilation.
And is that the other side of
Yeah, there's a
Abraham's
chasm.
bosom?
I believe so. Yeah.
Like the rich man and
The other side they just call
Lazarus.
torment.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's more emotional aspect.
Is that why the weeping and gnashing of teeth is?
No, I think that's outside the kingdom.
Later.
I think that's mortals outside the kingdom.
Oh. In the millennial reign?
Hmm.
Right after the day of the Lord.
Yep, because it's pretty nasty out there.
So just for clarification, second death is not eternity on fire. It's a period of time on fire followed by nothing.
I don't know if it's a period of time on fire. There are texts that seem to say there is some time it takes to be destroyed.
Emotional torment or so.
I-
don't know, it's like
I think watching my spot coming up in line is
I
pretty
think that
That'd be pretty terrifying.
Weeping and gnashing of teeth. I think the idea of being in line.
Well, I think it says somewhere in one of the texts that just like the author of Hebrews, somewhere it says that after the first resurrection, those who are left in Sheol are increased in torment because they know it's coming.
Yeah.
Because once they see the first resurrection, like, whoa, there went everybody. They know
We're not on the list.
we got 1,000 years and you're done.
Yeah.
See, look at that. Those are all the words, and in the New Testament, they all just say hell.
Yeah.
Or no, ladder is, they throw that word in there.
It's all.
And they're all completely different concepts. Actually, the first two are similar in understanding, but the bottom two are completely different.
Yeah.
So I won't disagree with you that there possibly could be a time of actual torment in the
But it's
lake of
not
fire,
forever, no.
but it's definitely not forever.
Okay.
If anything, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Because I've read multiple things where I'm like, maybe there is a little bit of, it's not just poof, you're gone.
Yeah.
Maybe there is a little bit of punishment there.
There's silver lining to that. Like, there's the release of second death, so you're not on fire forever. There's a mercy element.
There's a mercy element.
There's a
There's
mercy
got to be remediation.
And at the same time, too,
At some
why
point.
would the Father put in himself and his creation a section where he's always got in the back of his mind that I have some burning forever?
Yeah.
Right.
That's on his conscience. You think he's just going to forget a section he made? That's not possible.
Well, even the stoning, my understanding is they
Oh, it
buried
was
you up
quick.
to your neck, and it was quick.
Yeah, it was not a long process.
Yeah, it's one of the more merciful ways to go.
Burning at the stake.
Well, stoning, I mean, it takes one to the dome and you're gone and.
But stoning in biblical history was not like what they did during Yeshua's
It's
day.
not the lottery.
It's not where they just picked up a stone and started chucking it at people.
And it wasn't
David didn't
as
like it.
common either, because there was a lot
Mm-mm.
that went into
What did it look like?
From what I understand, they would bury them up to their neck and then drop a boulder on them.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
It was
You're
like,
done.
it was an actual
Quickly.
court system scenario. It wasn't just.
It was an execution.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, that's not terrible.
Everybody's.
No, as far as execution
But
goes,
even the other of
The
like.
anticipation of the boulder is pretty
Well, yeah.
It's like a game of dog.
as they're burying you.
Sit still!
But what about the times it was like they were left for dead? Or maybe that wasn't stoning. Maybe
That was in the
they
New
just got beat up
Testament.
and left for dead.
That was
I think that was in the
Exodus
New
time.
Testament.
So you're saying that they went so rogue that it was hateful, it wasn't merciful. They're like,
Everybody
all right,
picks up
everybody
rocks.
grab your stone, let's go.
Enjoy
Everybody picked
taking
up
these people
rocks
out.
for that one woman, and they
That's
didn't even do
interesting.
they didn't do the Levitical system at all. And he said, well, whoever's not
Wait a
got
minute.
sin, throw
Because
the
we have a
rocks.
merciful Father.
The whole time.
That's interesting.
I think we should get back to the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
All right.
All day.
This was a good tangent.
Detour down the death alley, huh?
All right. So what does it mean that he tasted death for everyone? As usual, when we start to dig into the Greek, it actually seems to point it out. The geomai means to taste, experience, or partake of. So it's not tasting like biting off an apple. It's experiencing or partaking of it. And this, the word for is for on the behalf of everyone. So he might partake of death
That's an
on behalf of everyone.
That's an easier reading. He had to die to be able to do the salvation process the Father gave him in the first place.
Makes a lot more sense, doesn't it?
I'm learning Greek. I'm done speaking English.
Does it help? Does it help us understand it? Let's go back to the last piece of text, because now we have the grace of God. By the grace of God, he might partake of death for everyone. This is where my text took a turn, because I like to look at the Greek, and I popped open my interlinear, and I found the word. What is he using the word for grace? And I opened up that word, and the word for grace in my interlinear was not charis. And then I looked in my Bible Hub, and it is charis. So this is the Greek interlinear from Bible Hub and from Logos. And you'll see hopos, keritai, theo, and hopos, chorus, theo. Those are two completely different words.
Wait, Keratot.
That's different.
And I was like, wait a minute.
You said send your notes.
What is going on? Because now I've got two conflicting information, because this word charity, charity, is the word grace. That's the root word of grace. But this word chorus means something completely different. So, real quick, look at the word grace. Charity means grace or favor. It's used 163 times in the Septuagint, 154 times in the New Testament. It's the root word of charis. We know this word. A lot of people know this Greek word. It's used for names and things like that. Almost all of our English translations come from this Greek word in this text. It's used in the Bible Hub's interlinear, which is where they show the Greek and the English together. And most of our manuscript evidence in history has the word charity in Hebrews 2:9. A couple examples, Ephesians 2:8-9, for by grace you have been saved through faith, not of yourselves, it is a gift of God, not of works, so that no one can boast. Exodus 33, if therefore I have found favor before you, show yourself to me so that I may see you clearly, so that I might find favor before you, and that I might know that this great nation is your people. It means favor. Great. Chorus means without or apart from. That's not the same as grace. 19 times it's used in the Septuagint, 40 times in the New Testament. There's only a few manuscripts that have this word in Hebrews 2:9. And I'll be honest, I started digging and it was hard for me to find which ones. A lot of people talk about there's a few manuscripts and then they started using all the codes and I got lost real quick. So I apologize, I didn't dig as deep as I should have. Origen and a few other church fathers speak of this verse using this word in meaning. So we have historicity that it might be this word. Some early Syriac manuscripts use this word. And it's used in the Logos app interlinear. And forgive me, I couldn't find which Greek text they're using for the Logos app. I searched, it didn't tell me. So Bible Hub's using a certain manuscript, Logos app is using a different manuscript. These two different manuscripts have two different words. What do we do with that?
Cry.
Chorus. A couple examples. Philippians 2, I forgot to highlight it. Apologize. Do everything without complaining or arguing, so that you may be blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a crooked and perverse generation. That word without is the word chorus.
Children of God, graceful. Wait, what?
James 2, as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without deeds is dead. That's the word without. 1 Kings, 3 Kingdoms. Apart from the rulers who were appointed over the works of Solomon, 3,600 were overseeing the ones who did the work. Where's my without in there? Oh, apart from. There it is. Sorry, see, this happens when I don't highlight it. So we get examples of what this means. It means without and apart. Now we do have a Syriac translation that actually uses this word to translate the English. It says, we see that Yeshua, who humbled himself to be a little lower than the angels through his suffering and his death, but now is crowned with glory and honor, for he tasted death for the sake of everyone but God. That means a different thing, doesn't it? That by the grace of God, he tasted death for everyone. So, Hebrews 2:8-9. Or Hebrews 2:9. So that by the grace of God, Yahweh, he might taste death for everyone. Or, my thought is, so that by apart from Elohim, he might taste death for everyone. But what on earth would that mean? It means he had to become human. Apart from being Elohim, he had to become human.
Right.
To experience death on behalf of everyone.
Not surprised the manuscript changed that.
Yeah.
It's 100% human.
Oh, we got it down. It's Skylar.
She's standing.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
So is this referring, like, people say, oh, he's 100% God and 100% man?
I've heard that my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, I mean, he had the Holy Spirit. I mean, he had some divinity, right? Because he could hear their thoughts.
did.
No,
I don't think he
they
did.
hadn't know what
Prophets
they
did
were
things like
thinking.
that the whole time.
But wouldn't it mean that he had some sort of anointing or spirit that wasn't?
Can't humans have that too, though?
Rebecca heard, or an angel told Rebecca the thoughts of Esau, that he was gonna kill Jacob, and from that understanding tells Jacob to go in Jubilees. So
But
just because it doesn't tell us how it happened, doesn't
It's the power of the Spirit, but I don't think it's a different spirit than what we could have.
Yeah.
It shows that.
Oh.
It shows that if we obediently follow the Father, what's the verse?
still small voice.
There's a verse in one of the Apocrypha. I'm bad about this today. One of the Apocrypha, it talks about that as we're obedient to the Father, creation relaxes to us. Like we begin to have control over creation. Dominion.
True dominion.
So you've got all these old prophets, Elijah and all this stuff. They could do all these things. They weren't divine.
Same thing with the 2 witnesses.
Same thing with the 2 witnesses. They are just, to my thought and to my study, they are just that obedient. So this whole thing that works isn't a big deal, and it matters. I read a text the other day in Proverbs that says that if you want to gain understanding and discernment, practice his ways. Literally says, practice his ways, you will gain understanding and discernment.
But also the balance of true worshipers will worship in spirit and truth, because the Pharisees, they were pretty obedient, yet they did not have
Their
the spirit.
intent was clearly malaligned.
Yeah.
Right. They did the works, they weren't obedient.
Which, I just read it twice. It was talking specifically about you can do things, but if you're doing them for the sake of doing them, it's vanity. It said if you can do too much righteousness, but because you're doing righteousness for righteousness' sake, in and of itself, for yourself, vanity.
Right.
Which sounds backwards, but we can't take one thing too far. That's what I was saying.
So does, I hate to say it for a group, but for not what we were taught being raised, I guess the Torah group, is it taught or interpreted that when the veil torn, that's when the Holy Spirit became available to the masses, rather than before it was the Holy Spirit came upon them, or they were anointed, so it was very obvious this person is designated by God.
I think the priesthood was taken.
I
think that's
The veil
Usually-
being torn was a clear reference from Testament of the 12 Patriarchs that it's exposing the corruption of the priesthood at the time, not really having anything necessarily to do with a metaphor about us being able to access God.
There's actually a prophecy that it'll be torn to expose their shame.
So,
Most people I hear teach Pentecost is when the Spirit became available to everybody. So when
that makes sense, right? Yeah.
but it doesn't line up with Scripture, because we see the Spirit throughout all of the Old Testament. And we see priests giving the Spirit throughout all of the Old Testament.
The fire and the cloud, they were being. So what's the significance of when it says, and the Spirit came upon him, and the Spirit came upon him, and he did a mighty thing if everyone else had access?
Because it's always been that way. It's been given out at certain times for the glory of the Father.
Comparison on that, because Samson was given the Spirit to be a mighty man, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then he lost it through disobedience, and then in the very end, he asked for it to return, so he could destroy the temple and everything that was in there.
I think it's kind of like when angels can do things directly. Obviously, we don't see it, so we forget that they're part of it. But sometimes, similar to how Ezekiel's bones and how the bones can just grow sinews and things like that, the creation also reacts directly from whatever the Father wants it to. So it's did Jesus himself physically do something? Did an angel do it for him? Or did the Father, with this part of creation, he spit in the mud?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? It could be any of those, but
I studied recently.
details don't really change what happened.
Someone asked me a question and said, can we lose the Spirit, the deposit that we have? And I think the text clearly says that we can't.
Oh, for sure.
We can,
So-
if we can grieve it.
The idea that everyone has access to the Spirit now, regardless, is a false idea. We still have to be obedient and walk in the Father's ways to have that deposit of the covenant,
Yeah.
or it will leave us.
Trusting the spirits, because how many people claim to have the Spirit and do even wonders? But it's confusion, it's blasphemous sometimes, and they're not even walking in obedience.
What about like I hate saying it, but the Sunday church is like, oh, each person gets a measure of the Holy Spirit, but it might be kind of true based on obedience.
It does say we get. It does say that we get a measure of the Spirit. It does say that we get a deposit of the inheritance that we're going to have one day. So yeah, I think we do. It's just not. It's just not permanent.
Yeah.
Because it's a deposit.
It's a race we were trying to.
And I think, again, I sound heretical to myself, but the more obedient you are to the Father in heart and action, the more you're going to be blessed. The more you're going to have access to the Spirit, the more the creation is going to work for you. That's what the text says. It really does. One of my favorite verses in 1 Peter 3, it says, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to them as a weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you for the grace of life, so that your prayers will not be hindered. Which means if I'm not being an obedient husband, obedient to the Father's ways in how I'm a husband, he's not going to listen to my prayers.
Yeah.
So it's the whole, I don't want to be a prosperity gospel. I don't want to be like this. But in some sense, I'm not saying you're going to be obedient and get riches beyond wealth, but in some sense, we are blessed by our obedience.
Yeah. This is maybe something I just need to ask for resources, but with this, the thing of like, oh, get saved and then do this and then, get the Holy Spirit. How does this Torah, I'm not trying to label, but like how does like the more Torah observant way of like, our kids going in to get baptized and we're like, yeah, let's do it. We're not teaching them like the Church of Christ way where it's like, do this or you're not going to get saved or go to heaven, but
I read the verse earlier. It says baptism saves you by giving you a conscience.
Yeah.
So it's not that it saves you because it's something you have to do or whatever, but it changes your heart towards the Father is what it says. Walking in that obedience.
Hey, we're stepping out. It's nice to see you all.
Good to see you.
We'll be back in a bit.
All right.
Like 5:15?
Yes, 5:15.
Okay. A lot of people will still be here eating dinner, so.
Okay.
You guys can have dinner with us.
We'll be back in a bit.
But yeah, to me, and obviously there's a lot of other texts, but that idea of the hypostatic union, that he was fully God and fully man, and he kept his God card in his back pocket, pulled it out when he needed to, where like he was the only human to ever walk on water. False. Peter walked on water.
And Elisha floated in Acts.
Elisha floated in Acts. He was the only one to ever raise the dead. False. Elijah raised the dead. Elisha raised the dead. And he did not have access to anything more than what we have access to, but he walked so perfectly that he commanded the wind and the waves. And it makes so much more sense of that than him being this God-man that retained his essence and retained his power and ability.
That's a demigod.
But somehow he was still man enough to suffer for us and die. Even though it says God can't die. God is not a man. And that's why I think this verse makes such sense. Because it says he had to stop being a God to die. He had to. So apart from Elohim, I think it's here. It could be apart from Yahweh. I would be okay with that because he had to leave Yahweh to do it. But I think Elohim fits better because so apart from him being Elohim, which he was before, he had to become man in order to experience death on behalf of everyone.
Like later in Hebrews,
Yeah, the 200% analogy. You're right.
yeah, the math never makes sense. But later in Hebrews, when it talks about he was tested and tried as all men.
Yeah.
So he can't, if he even was a tiny piece of God, how can he even partially relate to us?
Yeah, Hebrews later destroys the hypostatic union. We will get there, yeah.
Doesn't the Bible say that God sympathizes with us though, so in some way he can
Well, in the
relate?
way that he created us, sympathizes like,
Yeah, we're made in his image.
Right.
yeah, it's like we're on a journey and where he's showing us things little by little, and that I can get that as a parent, you know, that a little bit. But the point of him being the perfect high priest was that he recognizes how the testing from the adversary affects us. Can God really wrap his head around that? Because that's not something.
Because he can't be tempted.
The only reason that even happened is because of he gave us free will. So without attempting, it's not gonna work.
Yeah. What about his name, God with us? So don't you see how people think that like, see, he's God as man, but
I've heard something on that.
He is Elohim. Elohim.
Emmanuel?
Emmanuel is God with us, but it's Emmanuel. It's Elohim with us. So you could take it a number of ways that I would be okay with the text. One being he is Elohim. He was Elohim. Now he's living and residing with us. God with us. One being he is the exact representation of the Father's character.
Yeah.
It's God with us.
Or even like I'm just thinking, there's a lot of belief that he was born during Sukkot, and that would be like he's dwelling with us now.
Okay, yeah.
I've heard the way the Greek, you could spin it, and it technically God with us, as in on our side.
Yeah.
God's with us, like protecting us.
He
sees us, kind of thing.
I highly encourage you to read Isaiah 9 for God, why can't I think of it? The Handel's Messiah. It just completely left my head. But wonderful counselor, almighty God, Emmanuel, all of that. Read that in the Septuagint.
That's where it calls him
It's
the
way different.
everlasting Father. But
Yeah.
It doesn't actually say that.
It makes so much more sense in the Septuagint. All right, so just to close this out, here's our passage. Now that we've studied through it. For it is not to angels that he was subjected to the world to come, but about which we are speaking. But somewhere it is testified in these words, what is man that you are mindful of him? Or the son of man that you care for him? You made him a little lower than the angels. You crowned him with glory and honor and placed everything under his feet. When God subjected all things to him, he left nothing outside of his control. Yet at present we do not see everything subject to him, but we see Yeshua, who is made a little lower than the angels, now crowned with glory and honor, because he suffered death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. This is my understanding of the passage. It speaks of Yeshua better than angels. Then it speaks of Yeshua becoming human. Psalm 8, I believe, is all about humanity. And Yeshua is named in that reference to the quote to show his humanity. That's why he uses that quote, to show that Yeshua is human. And this is the part that I've changed twice now this week that didn't sit well with me, and this is the conclusion that I've come to. This is why. The Father gave dominion and rule to who? Not his Son.
The sons of men.
Mankind. Who gets to rule over this earth? Who gets to rule over the animals? Who gets to rule over the fish of the sea? The Father gave that to man. So if he's going to give it to Yeshua, what does he have to become?
Man.
See, the Father's jurisdiction, he has these things laid out. And he's not going to go against his rule. Just like it says later, and we'll go over this in Hebrews, it says Yeshua couldn't be a priest on earth because he gave that to the Levites. God is not a man that he should change his mind. He's not going to go, well, yeah, Levites, you screwed it up. You don't get it anymore. I'm going to give it to Yeshua. No, he did it in a way that the Levites actually retain the priesthood. And they're going to continue to retain the priesthood on this earth. He's doing the same thing here. He didn't take some angel, he didn't take some other creation and say, humans, you screwed it up. I'm taking it away from you. He gets dominion instead. What he did was he took his son from being Elohim, he became man, so that then he could make him ruler over it all. That's what I see in this text. And I've never seen that before. Why? One of the reasons why Yeshua had to become man, why he had to be made like us in every way, was so that the Father could give him the authority over this place.
Became man, got the dominion, then went back to being Elohim, so that he could also be the priesthood, take the priesthood all man, and he could do all that.
He can't be the priesthood on this earth because he's not Levi.
Yeah.
He can be the priesthood while he's a man.
Yeah.
We have
He
priests.
wasn't a Levite, so.
And then he's also Elohim so that he can make him ruler over the angels. That's
100% God, then 100%. Then 100%.
Well.
then 100% glorified man.
Are we gonna be above the angels?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's what the text says.
We will judge angels.
The first shall be last, the last shall be first. Remember the prodigal son, the older brother never strayed. He was given all authority and all this stuff over. He was a beautiful son that didn't walk away. The younger son strayed, went away, did all these things. And what happens when the son comes back? He's elevated over the older brother.
I've heard
That parable's about
Satan's doing.
angels and man. That's what that parable's about. I didn't learn that till about a year ago, and it makes perfect sense. The whole idea the last shall be first and the first shall be last is that the last created man is going to become the first in the hierarchy, and the first created angels is going to become the last in the hierarchy. We will be over angels. We will be over everyone but Yeshua and the Father. Now, I'm sure we've got the 24 thrones, and they're going to be over us. Don't get me wrong. There's obviously going to be a hierarchy, but
Would they be considered
Okay,
angels?
so when Yeshua hands over the keys to the kingdom, the authority back to his father,
So the Father can be all in all.
I'm just curious. Is he just a brother? I mean, is he just a respected brother?
well, he's still the high priest for all eternity.
Right, okay.
That's what I was talking about, kingdom, the concept of kingdom. I think mortal man needs that because they saw other kingdoms physically. But the concept of a king, even the Father said, why do you need a king? I'm your king. So it's like instead of, he leaves that concept for them. And then when all things are made subject unto the Son, who is both king and high priest in that moment, he gives the aspects of kingdom back to the Father and only remains high priest. As we all get to be that.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the high priest still judges over angels and everything
The
else.
high priest, the things the nations saw a king do, parts of that were the fathers and parts of that the high priest did.
Right.
But because the high priest concept and the idea of the father and then the high priest, because that was so foreign to all the nations, what's easier? Teach these many people how to do this, or just give them middle management? That's all they were asking for.
Yeah. So, like I said, I wanted to take you on the journey of my study, questions that I had. I'm now come to the idea that I think he had to be made human in order to get the authority.